Go over here on Bleacher Report. Make sure everything is working properly. But man, we're ready to go. And today, we got a fun one today. I've been excited for this for a few days, to be honest with you. This is a few days ago. This kind of like popped in my mind as like this would be a fun show to do. Like at some point we got to do this, and I didn't want to wait. Like I thought maybe I could wait a little bit. I wasn't sure like what approach should I take. Maybe I should like break this down and like nah, let's just do it. Let's just do it. I'm overthinking it. So as you can see by the title, today we're going to be looking at 5 draft prospects who feel like Detroit Lions. See, we do these live streams, we do these mock drafts, and maybe I draft them, right? And I'll say like, man, it kind of feels like a Lion. Or maybe I don't mock draft them and I'm like, oh, that guy kind of feels like a Lion, though. I can see how they would like him. Maybe they would have him higher. You know, that feels like a Lions fit. And that's what today's video is. But I'm going to call this 1.0, okay? I think that's on like the thumbnail picture. It's version 1.0 because I want to do this again. I want to do this with later draft prospects specifically. These are earlier prospects, I would say mainly day 2 and up. Maybe some of these do fall to day 3. That's definitely on the table, but mainly day 2 and up. And we got 5 players I have an honorable mention if we have time that we'll get to as well. But these are the guys that you just like, that feels like a Lion. You know what I mean? You get those guys all the time. And a lot of that could be scheme fit, right? Maybe it's like, oh, that just fits our scheme. That fits how the Lions play stylistically. If you think about a cornerback, is he willing to tackle? That feels like a Detroit Lion. He's willing to tackle, right? That's the first part for me always when I look at these guys, right? I remember last year, it was last year, we had Rakestraw, and then there was the cornerback out of Clemson, whose name is slipping my mind right now. But those two guys were up on the board, right? We were doing the mock draft over on Bleacher Report, and I ended up taking Rakestraw in the first round. People are like, man, what are you doing? It's a little bit of a reach. Well, for me, even though it was, hold up. Make sure we're good over here. Yeah, we're good. Okay, make sure we're good over here. Yeah, I mean, for me, even though like it was considered kind of a reach at the time, the fact is like it felt like a Lion more than Nate Wiggins, right? Rakestraw felt like a Lion. Nate Wiggins didn't really feel like a Lion. So like, I'm going to go Rakestraw. And obviously that ended up happening. It just happened later in the draft. So I think that plays into it. And that's what this is going to be about today. So with that being said, I'm fired up for this. This is going to be fun. Some of these players we've talked about, some of them we really haven't talked about that much. There's really no particular order. These are just guys that feel like Lions. I'll leave it at that, and I'll explain each one and why they feel like a Lion. All right, let's get right into it. So first off, let me get I brought media assets today, okay? I wanted to show something on the screen with this. So let me pop that on the screen. Bam. Make sure that's working. Okay, that looks good. And bam. Here is our first player, Jacob Parish from Kansas State. He's the first player that feels like a Lion, man. All right, look, man, Jacob Parish he's super fun to watch. It's actually the second time I've went through Jacob Parish, and that's why he came on this. He ended up on this live stream. The first time I went through Jacob Parish, I had very similar notes when looking back at those, but I hadn't watched as many games as I did the second time around, so I like to do them kind of in bunches. You know, it's one thing to like revisit and be like, okay, how have my thoughts changed? And that happens, and some of my thoughts were different. For the most part, they were kind of the same. I just hadn't watched as much at the time, so it changed some things up for me a little bit. But ultimately, Jacob Parish just immediately felt like a Lion. Like if Lions were going to go cornerback, this felt like the fit. Now, I think that he's in play for day 2. I really think this could be a day 2 pick. Some people are saying round 2. I'd be a little bit surprised if he got to round 2 because there is some concerns with his game. Like for me, I ended up early having kind of more average grades as a reactive athlete in terms of just his true play speed, right? Working vertically, a little bit more average there. But the first thing that stands out is the thing that has to stand out with a Lions cornerback. The dude's going to hit. All right, the dude's going to tackle. He's physical. Those things immediately jump off, like good plus in all of those categories immediately jump. There's a blitzing potential upside here. Now, we see that he's playing majority wide snaps, as you can see on the screen, but he played a little bit in the slot, and I think at the NFL, he's built to be a slot corner at 5'9.5", 191 pounds. Now, he does have the length where you don't have to keep him in the slot, but that's a flexibility the Lions can value. And I think guys that may be visualized by a lot of teams as more slots to the next level in this year's draft could be more valuable to the Lions because they understand with Rakestraw and with Arnold and with Amik and who can play outside, and they understand that Amik played so well. It could be an opportunity for the Lions to land a guy like Jacob Parish, where other teams could view him more as, oh, he's a nickel. Oh, we got to keep him in the slot. And the Lions could be like, actually, we're fine with that. Like, if he's got to play in the slot, that's perfectly fine with us. We'll put him in there. That actually makes us better, and that adds depth for us. Special teams ability is going to translate immediately to the table, but he's powerful in the way that he contains. He fills gaps in the run box. There's some little things like I thought he would drop down to his knee, but for the most part, he's a physical player, quickly takes on blocks. That's going to immediately check the box. And then as a coverage piece where he thrives to me is man coverage, which is great. Now, he's a little bit over-handsy. He's a little bit over-aggressive at the catch point. He's a little bit grabby, which is what will probably knock him down the board. You get a lot of guys at the cornerback position that do that in college because they can get away with it. And we saw like Terrion. It took a second. It was like, all right, we got to dial this in. About halfway through the season, it was much better. Other things popped up. That'll be a thing. I don't doubt that at all, especially at the catch point. Sometimes I don't feel like he finds the ball incredibly well. What he does do, he's physical. He's going to force you to the sideline. He's going to shove you out of bounds. He's going to make you have to stay in bounds. He's going to make you prove that you have some of that route strength as a receiver. Otherwise, he's going to take you for a ride out of bounds. But I think his best is off-man coverage. It kind of limits some of the concerns I have as a press corner. Maybe some of the tightness that I think could show up in his game a little bit. I think off-man allows it to thrive. I think he's very good in that area across the board. I think he's got good timing, the way he plays his hips, the way that he sets his depth. So say it's like a 3rd and 8, and he kind of sets on the sticks. Like he does those things well, and he's a plus player in zone. And I just remember, here's the big thing for me, and you're going to hear this with a lot of these players that we go through. I remember when we drafted, I think it was Rakestraw. And I remember going through my critical factors were lower grades than what I had positionally. I thought he was a better man, zone, off-man coverage corner than he was in terms of like, oh, wow, he's like this really reactive athlete. He flies around, flips his hips really easily. Like that was Nate Wiggins, right? He wasn't that. That wasn't Rakestraw's game. And there was concerns about that. Like, oh, can he cover things downfield? What position be? There's still concerns about it. But it wasn't the ball skills, even though I thought like, okay, he showed some ball skills in the training camp. That wasn't his thing in college. His thing was actually like, he's a pretty well-rounded cornerback. And for Jacob Parish at this size, the dude is 21 years old. He's a young corner. He's only played 3 seasons. Usually you get that with your top prospects. This is a 21-year-old that could go day 3, which is crazy. If he goes day 3, it's going to be a steal for somebody. And I just get the sense that this is a Lions type of pick, and I think that adding a slot corner would be outstanding. If there was like a perfect world, like, oh, what kind of style of corner could you get? A guy that's going to thrive in man, that you put in the slot, you put in the nickel. He's going to immediately give you special teams ability because we're going to need that because where we're at. I want a guy that can play in a slot. I want us to allow Mick Robertson to play wide, and that's exactly what Jacob Parish brings, man. He just fits in perfectly. I mean, just to be honest with you, he fits in perfectly to what the Lions are as a defense, to exactly who they are as a coverage team schematically. So that starts off the list. At number 1 is Jacob Parish. Okay, so we're going to bounce to another guy that we have, I think we've talked about a little bit over here. I don't know how much we've actually talked about it over here, but we've talked about him a little bit. I definitely haven't done a video on the player, but I'm pretty close to being like, yeah, we got to do a video on this guy because I just really like the player. And he actually gives me a lot of flashes of a player that we drafted last season, right? Not the exact same, but some of the things that I liked about him remind me a lot of this player. And that's going to take us to defensive tackle TJ Sanders out of South Carolina. So this one's pretty straightforward, right? This is a schematic thing for me. One of the things that stood out with Mekhi Wingo, who was the guy we drafted last year that he gives me vibes of, was the fact that he had a football intelligence to his game, which allowed him to play fast. Remember, Mekhi Wingo, a little bit undersized. You question, like, okay, is this guy going to be able to hold up on the interior? I don't know. And it seemed like he actually did better on the interior than we tried to kind of kick him out wider and like, oh, let's make this work because that's not his body type. It was a weird projection, which is ultimately as a tweener why he went where he went in the draft. Now, some may consider TJ Sanders a tweener. He ends up testing in at 6'3.5", 297 pounds. So he kind of got himself, I think, a little bit out of the whole tweener idea with that, even though I don't think he played at that size, so he should be thrown into more of that category. But ultimately, what I think stands out is like Mekhi Wingo, who played really fast because he could really pick up on the run scheme quickly. He could recognize run scheme. He could recognize polars, recognize zone scheme, and he'd play in front of everything. He'd play beyond the play. He'd get to things really quickly. He'd set himself really fast. TJ Sanders, maybe not to the same extent, because I think that was like Mekhi Wingo's superpower. I think that TJ Sanders brings some of that as well. And what I mean by that is some of it's bad. You'll get plays where he kind of works himself out of the play, right? He'll work over top. He senses like, okay, here's a counter setup. Maybe I'm going to kind of slide out of here. Let me go see if I can get over top and make a play on the ball. That can get him into trouble because he'll just jump out of his gap. And it's like, oh, dude, the ball is going there. You're out of your gap. Or even on zone, he like feels it. And he's like, I can't really get in. So let me just step back and see if I can find the ball. Like you'll see it on mesh points with a quarterback where he's trying to read the ball carrier instead of just, hey, close your eyes and fill your gap. Like basically just do your job. He tries to do too much. That's going to be a problem. Some teams may not lock it for discipline reasons, but that's what gave me vibes from Mekhi Wingo because I think a lot of times he has the right idea. He's seeing the full picture, but ultimately just gets him in trouble more often than not. Outside of that, though, it's a lot of things. First off, size-wise, very similar to like a Levi, that kind of size. Again, I think he played smaller than that. One big difference is, though, TJ Sanders has these like big ankles, man. I know that sounds weird, but he's got like these really stocky ankles that I think add so much contact balance as a pass rusher. It's very difficult to kind of knock him off his spot, specifically as a pass rusher when he gets upfield, half-man opportunities, working through contact. He's really difficult to kind of knock off the plan that he had as a pass rusher. And that's them big ankles, man. That kind of just, they're sturdy on the ground, right? He doesn't get pushed off his spot at all. And I love that as a rusher. And he's got a really good feel for angles as a rusher. I mean, there was some production created by stunts, but it wasn't all stunt work. work. He did get some straight one-on-one wins. I would have liked to see more dominance as a bull rusher, however that may be, and we can get to that. Even some of that's just length in general. But ultimately, for me with TJ Sanders, what stands out here is as a pass rusher, I think right now he's a very good pass rusher. He's got a multitude of ways to win, and angles help him a ton because whether it's a stun or not, he has a good feel for let me create space here so that I can create an opening. Let me find a room here. That way I can create an opening so I can get upfield. That way I can take half-man opportunities or find some slither opportunities. He does those things incredibly well right now as a pass rusher to open up the opportunities that are in front of him. He could find a little bit of a long arm move. He has better length. It's not outstanding, but it's over 33 inches, which is better than most interior offensive linemen. Lions always tell us that they value length on the interior because it adds pass rush upside. And then the fact is he's gonna play the run. It's not like you're getting a bad run defender here just because he's a little better size. My big question will be handling double teams. And I think some of that could be just limited. I didn't get to a point where I ever really watched him and felt comfortable there. He does show some of the bend, the corkscrew, settle himself down. I think there's some awareness. He doesn't really play super behind on those spots, but he doesn't play incredibly low, or his anchor isn't fantastic either, just naturally. And I don't know how much you're actually going to be able to pack into that and be yeah, he's just going to hold those double teams next level. That may always be a problem. So it could actually be for his best benefit to kick him wider. Don't let him live at the 3 technique, right? You could kick him a little bit wider, actually, and he may translate better than Mekhi Wingo. It could be the opposite. If you had TJ Sanders and Mekhi Wingo is Wingo, he might have to kick wider because of his build, but then he looked better on the inside. It's all right, that's what he did in college. I guess we'll leave him there. TJ Sanders did that in college as well, but I think he actually may translate better to kicking out a little bit further because he also has a first step that can allow him to translate there. There's some burstiness. He's got some lateral movement skills. You can see that he can work with wide zone schemes, which is going to allow him to play with more range. You'll see him fly over gaps to making run stops. The length plays into this as well, but that first step explosion to me is good right now, and that can allow him to translate a little bit wider than a guy, say, Mekhi Wingo was able to force his past season. He brings the length for it. He brings the body type for it, where on the Lions defense front, you put him next to a true nose tackle. You allow Lee McNeil to continue to work as your 3 technique defensively, or just your, 3-4 DN or 3-4 D tackle or 4-3 defensive tackle. You allow him to play that role. You can kick out and put inside tackle still, just kick into some wider alignment. Put him in a 4-eye technique where he can just handle single blocks. The more he gets to work with single blocks, he can dominate single blocks. He's got the hips. He's got the looseness. He holds his ground because of that. The entry, you feel a pop. There's a little bit of a knockback into entry, so he can handle single blocks. I think he's slightly above average to good in terms of the play strength that he has showcased to this point, but ultimately he's got good hand usage. They stay locked inside. He's good in terms of shedding blocks as well. I think he's a pretty well-rounded prospect. One of my earlier mock drafts, I think I had TJ Sanders as our second round pick. I don't think he can get into round 1 just because of his build. Maybe somebody surprises. And I also don't think he's elite dominant, but he's been pretty darn good. You can see the numbers on the screen. A 12.6% pass rush win rate for a guy in the SEC is pretty darn fantastic from a guy that's constantly living between the tackles, that's constantly living over the B gap. That's a fantastic number to put up as an interior defensive lineman. So his production is there. I just don't know this enough to get him to the first round, but I think ultimately this feels vibes of Levi, not the same exact player, but there's a first step to his game. There's a pass rush upside, which is very noticeable, and he's going to handle single blocks. And I almost feel like now with the Lions actually having nose tackles, true nose tackles, Roy Lopez, that style, I think he fits into that because he plays so square to the ball. He plays so square into entry points. TJ Sanders ends up falling in at number 2 on this list. And again, this is not in any particular order, so keep that in mind, but there you go. TJ Sanders. 2 guys that we really haven't talked about a ton. They also both probably need their own video, and at some point they probably both will get their own video. And I also will say this, TJ Sanders against LSU was one of the most intriguing games to me because he lined over the center a ton. You got to see the get off kind of shine a little bit more. It was oh, he's a problem when you put him over the center. When he's fast to the ball, he's a little bit of a problem here. And in that game, he just felt like a designated, put him over the center and let him rush. And seeing him have success there, seeing the stunts that you can open up with him, I felt like in that game, oh, this gives you value early. Because even if he's not on the field on rundowns, he's going to have a sub-package value. It's I could just throw him out there and let him rush the passer, put him over the center, let him have success. He feels like he could add some of what John Kaminsky added at some point. Now, I don't think he plays as nasty as Kaminsky did, right? I don't think sometimes he always plays with his hair on fire, which I don't love in terms of the way that he enters. He feels a little bit more methodical than he does feel like a bull, where he's put my head down, just run through somebody. But I also don't think we need that. He's got a little bit more feel finesse of his game, but he's so strong in that lower body and the ankles where he doesn't get knocked off balance. It allows rushes to continue all the time. So I like TJ Sanders a lot. He is the second player on our list. All right, let's go to a player that we have talked about. Still haven't done a breakdown video on this guy, but he's going to be very familiar. All right, I'll say that. He'll be very familiar because we may have just mocked him to the Lions. I don't know. Maybe I just gave away who we're going to put here. But next up on this list, we are going to put Donovan Jackson. All right, look, man, this one's pretty straightforward. He feels like a Lion because we could use him. Like, if we're being honest, I mean, that's where it starts. That's where it ends. No, I mean, ultimately here, Donovan Jackson was the guy that's grown on me. The more and more I watch him, the more I come back to him, I'm like, are we sure this guy doesn't go round one? I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like, the more I watch, the more I'm like, I'm not so sure this guy actually can get to round two. It feels like something that's continued to grow on me. I think he's definitely a guard, which could allow that opportunity for him to fall out of round one. I think if teams also just viewed him as a tackle, they'd probably have him a little bit lower as well, because it wasn't like he was dominant at tackle. Not the same as I think he was capable of at guard. And I think the numbers suggest that. You see 286 snaps at left guard. He began the season at left guard before the injury to Simmons, out for the season. He kicks the left tackle, handles it against just dogs every single week. He's just handling it over and over and over. But ultimately, he's had years of experience at left guard, the last couple of seasons as well, starting at left guard. And the games grow on you. The more you watch Donovan Jackson, the more it grows. The sustainability really gets showcased here. I think the power that he plays with in those spots, the way that he kind of battles through blocks. And then you get some of the movement skills, which is also another thing that's like, all right, that's going to translate. He's got a consistent wide base. He's a very firm player on entry at the point of attack. So for me overall, Donovan Jackson is, I think, going to be a plus as a pass protector and also as a run blocker, which is the key here, because he brings value in both of those areas. And that's not always the easiest thing to find, right? I think he's a guy that actually brings a positive impact in both sides, both as run blocker and as a pass rush and as a pass blocker, which is ultimately why Donovan Jackson may end up being a round one pick. Like, I could absolutely see that being the case. If he told me he was a round one pick, I would not be surprised at all. And that's why he ends up landing on this list. You can see the numbers were a little bit of a step back, but again, a lot of that's playing tackle. Playing center or guard, usually you don't give up too many numbers as a draft pick. That's just why the numbers aren't that important to me. But ultimately, he ends up on this list. Now, I really did want to before we move on to the next one, I really wanted to find my sheet here that I had. I guess I lost it when I was going through. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to continue moving, and then I'll find it at the end. We'll revisit Donovan Jackson because I have more notes on him, but I don't want to lose my other pages before we get to that. I haven't put them in the binder yet, okay? It's going to the binder soon. It just hasn't yet. There's too many pages I got here. I got different notebooks of just players. All right, let's go with the next player. Another guy that I don't think we've talked about that much, really at all. He's not even on the PFF draft simulator, but he will be. And this is a player that has a very intriguing background because overall, he's from Detroit, Michigan. And I actually didn't know this coming into it. This guy is from Detroit, Michigan, and that's Jaylen Reed. Jaylen Reed out of Penn State. Oh, man, I am fascinated by Jaylen Reed. See, this is a guy that feels like a Lion. Like as soon as I started watching, I was like, oh, this feels like a Lion. That's why he's on this list. He was actually one of the inspirations for me doing this list, because ultimately I was like, man, we haven't done this. We haven't talked about Jaylen Reed. He's not even on the mock draft simulator for some weird reason. We need to talk about him. So I'm going to throw him on this list. I'm going to do this list that way I can get a guy like this on there. Now, athletically speaking, I wish there was more to grasp onto. If it was, he'd probably be an even higher draft pick. Right now, I think he's a day 2 pick. Could he get out of day 2? Maybe, because I think there are some nice safeties. Could a guy like Jonas Sanker potentially go above him? Maybe. That's on the table, right? That could push him to early day 3. I think he's a day 2 player, though, from what I've went through so far. That's not to say that there isn't some questions, because you do wonder, like, role type. Does he have the range? Does he have the speed? Does he have the twitch? I feel like he's a little bit sluggish at times in some of his transitions. I feel like he also plays a lot more with pacing, not always with his hair on fire when you're playing sideline to sideline as a free safety. But the fact is, he's coming from a defense that did a lot of things the Lions do. Lions play a lot of single high coverage. Now, last season we saw the mixes. They'll do both, and he's comfortable in both because he's played pretty much everywhere. Like, Jaylen Reed has went from split high safety, single high safety, let him be a robber down on single high coverage, and also put him over the slot on third downs and pass downs, and we'll go 3 safety packages. We'll put him in the nickel. He's done all of those things, which immediately schematically is like, oh, that's interesting. That would fit the Lions. He stepped down over the slot, played man coverage. He's done all of these things. It's just trying to figure out what's the best spot. And I think ultimately his best spot may be the more you can get him kind of working downhill. You let him play cover 1, let him be a robber, let him step down, let him lurk routes, let him jump routes underneath, let him use some of the instincts that he just shows off. I mean, he's got a instinctual angle to his game, which is what makes him play fast, but it also adds the ability to take the football away, have we seen. He's an impactful blitzer. I think he's going to be a plus blitzer at the next level. He finds a way to slip by blocks. You'll see it as a run defender. He's got a little bit of slipperiness. He could be difficult to block. Now, sometimes I think he gets kind of in his own head in the sense of he'll lose discipline because he's like, let me go make a play here. But that's the thing that you love. physicality, just like Parish, not a problem. I actually think he has great physicality. So only as a blitzer, as you see the stats, he's going to hit guys. He's got a really good angles that he takes as soon as he gets in the backfield. As a tackler, just in general, he's got some strength. I think there's a couple missed tackles that I didn't love that just felt a little bit slippery ultimately, but he's got a physical pursuit. He's got control when he works into the backfield. He breaks himself down when he's in contained spots, say if he's, trying to hold the edge, for example, or if he's just squaring up with a running back in open field, like he'll do that. He'll take that head on, and he's going to use his arms. It's not going to be, I'm just going to chuck my shoulder at the guy, see what happens. He's going to get his entire body involved in those tackle attempts. But get away from just the physicality for a second. Everything else also is really nice for what the Lions do schematically specifically. You talk about that 3-level ability. He's pretty much played everywhere. He does play with a cranked up energy to his game. One of my favorite aspects, I think he's a fantastic communicator. Pre-snap, he is constantly letting teammates know, hey, here's what we got to line up. Here's who I got on the play. And then when things break down, there was an example that I recently watched. It was against Ohio State where you could tell that the safeties didn't know exactly what the coverage was supposed to be. There was a miscommunication between the cornerbacks, and he instinctually kind of like read through it and was like, oh, okay, he's drifting back. Maybe this is like some sort of inverted coverage look. I'm going to step down and take that away. So ultimately the ball isn't thrown in that direction. That's the kind of thing that he brings. Now, he'll get himself into trouble because he plays to his instincts, which is good. I think of Kirby Joseph, right? Remember Kirby Joseph had a stretch with the Lions where people were questioning, like, oh, is he too aggressive? Is he pulling himself out of plays? Kirby, what are you doing? Like, this may not be great. And they're like, he's fine. I could actually see, though, a team in the NFL being like, he might be a little bit too off the script a little bit at times for what we want. We want him to be more dialed in, but that's what makes his play speed work. Because if he wasn't, I don't think he's a fantastic reactive athlete, right? I don't think he is. But what makes him work is that he has an opportunity where he can roam, and he's got the instinct specifically to kind of like read route development. He's like, okay, I see that route crossing. I'm going to step down on that. He kind of anticipates. That can get him in some trouble. Quarterback could look him off, get him to, jump some way he's supposed to. Here comes the design of the play. Maybe it's a half roll, and he tries to throw back the other side of the field. He may not jump on that. That's just not his game. But what he does do is the little things. Think about a 3rd down and 2, right? You have him up on the box because you trust him to play the run, and he's going to be capable there. You got him on a 3rd down and 2. He's standing on the line of scrimmage, and you're like, okay, play the run. He's got a run gap to fill. He's going to fill his gap, but it turns into a bootleg, right? So now the quarterback's rolling out. Here comes the running back into the flat, and he's immediately got to be like, react to it. Somebody's got to react. He's the kind of guy that's going to react. He's going to go take the running back away out of the flat. He's going to take that away. He's going to make you work something else. And that's the kind of thing you think about goal line situations. That's what he brings to the table. There's that instinctual feel where he trusts himself. That's the big thing, because there's a difference between having instincts and, anticipating. It's like, all right, I think it's going this way. But then also having the flip side where you're sluggish because you're not trusting it. He trusts it. He goes. He rolls. It's going to lead to some problems, but it also leads to the good that you all see. He plays faster because of that. And he's so versatile, so flexible as a player that he just feels like a Lion. And I didn't know he was from Detroit, Michigan. It works out perfectly. This is where he went to high school, was in Michigan. So I think that Jaylen Reed is not only a guy that makes sense for the Lions. We need safety depth. There's a schematic fit here, but he also probably would be comfortable coming back to Detroit, I have to believe. So Jaylen Reed at 5'11 and a half, 211 pounds. It's a great build for the guy that ran the 4.49, which is very capable. Wasn't outstanding, but it was very capable as a player. I mean, early I was like, oh, this guy's got some range. And so I kept watching, like, all right, maybe it's not the best, but he's physical. 19 bench press reps. It shows kind of the strength that he carries in the upper body. I think that the Lions are going to be intrigued by Jaylen Reed. All right, that moves us on to the 5th player on this list. I got to be honest, I saved one for last that I have already done a full video on. All right, look, I know I cheated. I do have an honorable mention, though, if we need to get to it. I already did a full video, so I feel a little bit like, I don't want to do this. But he does kind of feel like a Lion to me, and I said it since I've done the video. It actually was the inspiration to do the video. It's Mikel Williams. Like, Mikel Williams feels like a Detroit Lion to me. I can't help it. I mean, if you're trying to, when I first watched him, I said, look, if you asked me to take a bet, right? Throw some money on who you think the Lions are going to draft 1st round. Everybody's available, and you got to bet on one guy. I would bet it's Mikel Williams. Now, I do think that Donovan Jackson starts to get himself in the mix here, because if Mikel goes as high as possible, look, Mikel has a path to go top 10. Mikel has a path to go to New Orleans. If this guy goes top 10, we're not going to get him, right? We're not trading up to 10. You knew because, I had to. You know what I mean? I had to. There's a spot, though, where he's not even in play, and that's very fair. But if he is in play, if it is a Terrion situation of last year, if he drops to 20, I think immediately the Lions are interested. And I think that there's a possible trade-up scenario for Mikel Williams. To me, this one just fits. It was immediate for me. I was like, this just makes too much sense. And I wasn't like the highest on Mikel Williams to begin with, but everything about it, playing through the injury this past season, he's dealing with the ankle, and it's like, oh man, he wasn't explosive because of that, but he played through it. And you're like, all right, that's fine. I thought he was more explosive this year than last year, so I thought it was a little bit weird, but regardless of that, he played through it. played all the games. He's been consistently productive. You can see the stats on the screen year after year after year. I think he's incredibly well-rounded, which is his biggest strength. Is he doesn't have any real weaknesses. I think he's good in everything, basically. He's above average at least. And I think every aspect of his game that I ended up grading out. And I think the big thing is that this is a player that I think can really quickly take it to another level as a pass rusher. Now, the concern is you see the production. It feels like it's kind of plateaued a little bit. Being healthy with his ankle, but also getting with a defensive line coach in the NFL that, as you could see by his snaps, I mean, he was lining everywhere on the defensive line, everywhere for that team. You get him into assistant. Hey, you're the big end, right? You're the defensive end opposite of Hutchinson. You're a pocket collapser at heart, which is what he is. He's going to get his hands on the football. He's going to play the run. He's going to do all those things. You get him with a defensive line coach like we have now, which I'm very excited about from Tampa Bay. I think he can very quickly become a real problem. Like, I forget the stats for a second, because if it was about the stats, we'd get guys out of the small schools going round one. It's just not what it is. This is a player that I think could really quickly, and I could be wrong, translate into the NFL, where it's like he went from being all right, what can he be as a pass rusher, to all of a sudden like, oh, this is a problem. Like, I could see really quickly teams be like, yeah, this guy's an issue. And it's what makes it work for the Lions is having Aiden Hutchinson. If you didn't have Hutchinson, maybe he's not. Maybe you look somewhere else. Maybe you look as a Raku, who I like more. But if you told me those guys are both on the board, I would bet the Lions take Mikel Williams, right? It's like, I think Ezraku's a better pass rusher, but I think Mikel Williams makes more sense for the Lions. He's a great fit opposite of Hutchinson. He adds what you want. My last word was a versatile defensive line. He fits in as a 4-3 strong side defensive end. He's got plus get off, but he's strong. He has pass rush versatile, and he may be just touching the surface as a rusher with improved quickness in 2024. I think he could be so close to getting to a part where it's like, yeah, there's a lot to deal with because he's long. He can collapse the pocket. He can win inside. He can win outside. You can literally align him anywhere on the field. He's going to play with high energy all the time. He's going to defend the run. He's a plus shed ability. You want to work on his hands probably a little bit there. He's a smart player. I think he's got very good FBI. Like, ultimately, he's a 3-year junior. He's a 3-year junior. He's a young player. Mikel Williams, he may even get comps to like Trayvon Walker when he came out because, like, oh, his production wasn't crazy, but he's got all these things. I'm not even going to go down that path. The guy's not going as high as Trayvon Walker. Maybe he does. I don't know. But it also, if you told me Trayvon Walker is available at 28, been hard to pass on him, right? That changes things. I don't think Mikel Williams is going to be available at 28. I think you would have to trade up to get him. But ultimately, if the Lions were going to trade for someone, and I think there's multiple players that they could, right? Multiple players. Like, oh, is there a world where Malachi Starks got the 26, the Lions would jump 2 spots? Yeah, why not? Like, why not? But ultimately, if I had to place my bet still, I'd bet on Mikel Williams being the Lions draft pick. Now, with that said, as my honorable mention, I did throw another player that I had done a video on recently, and I put JT Tuimoloau on that list. That's the reason that I ended up throwing him on here as a fit. He's not as high, as some of my other edge rushers for sure. But ultimately, like, again, I think there's a difference between how I just straight grade a player and how the Lions may feel about him. And that's what I've tried to focus on with my videos this offseason is it's not, hey, these are Lions grades. Like, no, this is just in general how I think about the player. I think JT Tuimoloau is a guy that makes a ton of sense for Lions because I know he's going to play the run. I'm pretty sure he's got a relatively good floor that I can settle onto as a pass rusher. It's just, where can I really get with the ceiling as a pass rusher? I don't know. That's a question that I definitely have in his game. But ultimately, I think that he fits stylistically. He's long as heck. He's going to play the run. He's thick in the lower body. He gives us that element. And as a pass rusher, he's got enough ways to win right now, which I can bet on. But I don't know if the ceiling's as high as I think as many of these other pass rushers. So I just have him with a little bit of a lower grade. But ultimately, I still like the player. JT is still a nice player. So those are your 5 players plus an honorable mention of players that I think just feel like Lions. Like, these guys ultimately feel like Lions. And I was trying to find my notes on Donovan Jackson. I don't even know where they're at, but I'll be honest with you. Like, I went back to 2023 to watch some Donovan Jackson. And I'll be honest on this card. I didn't even do it on purpose. I thought I was watching 2024 and I'm like, something looks off here. These don't look like the guys that I'm supposed to be seeing on the field. It's like, oh, this is 2023. But I'm watching 2023 and I'm like, I kind of like him. I'm just taking notes as if I'm watching this past year. I realize it's 2023. I'm like, oh, that's not good. But I didn't even notice. I liked him in 2023. So if I had that and I didn't even know I was watching 2023, it tells me to really look at those past years as well and to kind of take into account, like, yeah, this guy was, when he was just a guard, he's a great guard. Like, you can really bet on him as a guard. And I think ultimately he's got first round upside there. I think it's really on the table that he could go first round because plug in and play players, which I think he is, those are guys that everybody likes. And that flexibility doesn't hurt for the Lions. You get a guy that can play guard and tackle, that doesn't hurt at all, right? If he can do both of those things for the Lions, where the Lions are at, it would be great. Now, center guard, that could be even better. You can make that case. I'm not against that, but I just think for where the Lions are at, anytime you get flexibility, it just adds your value. Regardless of what the flexibility is, you add value to to who you are. And look, he held it down. He held it down. Just as simple as that, he held it down. All right, with that, I don't think I can find my notes. So we are going to leave it there. That is your 5 players plus an honorable mention that I think fit the Detroit Lions. I feel like Lions fit. I do plan on doing a 2.0 to this episode. Maybe it's later round prospects. I think I could do one right now, to be honest, but I want to space these out a little bit and see if new names come into play as I continue to just roll through different players, see if new names feel like that guy feels like a Detroit Lion, right? Because I'm sure I'm going to get new names that feel like they fit that mix as well. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. I appreciate y'all joining over here on Bleacher Report. Have a great Monday, and I will see y'all on Wednesday, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. And we out. All right. So YouTube chat, appreciate y'all being here. I was searching that whole time for like, where did I put my notes on this guy? I don't know where they're at. It's disappointing because I tried to like sort all these out before I got on here and I could not find them as we're sitting here. I'm like, all right, it's whatever. I just mocked him, so it's it's not that important, I guess, but disappointing. I was really like locked in. At least I had the graphic. If I didn't have the graphic, I've been really disappointed. I'm sure I'm going to come across it any second now. All right, this is why I need to get a binder. This is all telling me. Put the binder. Let's get this thing going. Like, what are we doing? It's fair. Yeah, I need to do that. Yeah, that was fun. That was a good list. They were a lot of higher. If you're just joining, go back to the beginning because the first 30 minutes is going to treat it like a full episode. Like there's not any cuts, but it goes through pretty quickly. Like, so it's worth going back and just rewatching this like it's a video. It'll work. What up, though? Lions rule, Bears rule. Dang. All right. Shout out to the Bears. No. Hey, what up, no? I see you both, Tom Bitch. Appreciate you joining. Giovanni's in the chat. Charles is here. Josh Joyner feels like a lion. I like Josh Joyner, man. And they were making fun of me with Josh Joyner, bro. They were making fun of me at the Senior Bowl about Josh Joyner. Like, who are you watching, bro? I'm like, yo, he's kind of a dog. Like, showing him the plays. Like, this guy's kind of doing some work. Josh Joyner is in my first notebook. I know that. I know he's in the first notebook because he's like one of the first players I watched. I do got notes. It's just I really had to dig deep to find those. That's why I got to sort this out. I plan on doing that here pretty shortly. Donovan Jackson has only played out all of these that they have interviewed, and I don't worry about that too much, to be honest with you. Like, I don't, because I know that they're interviewing for many different reasons, right? And it could matter, it could not matter, right? It could be medical history. It could be getting if you're talking interview, if it's a visit, it could be an opportunity to kind of see him kind of going through what they want it to look like, just to get to know the player a little bit. Like, there's so many elements of why you might bring in a player for that. So for me, I don't worry about it too much, to be honest with you. I try not to get caught up in that because here's the problem, right? Maybe this has been me problem. If I start focusing on guys that the Lions bring in to visit, it'll change my grades. It'll make me push guys higher because I feel like, oh, Lions want him. He's got to be good. I don't want to do that. If the Lions draft somebody I have graded low, it just is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I want to keep it real in the time. Now, afterwards, when we do the full breakdown, I'll watch him even more. So maybe things change. But like, I want to just kind of be like, this is what I thought of him, and we'll see how it plays out. Because I think last year, like Rakestraw, I don't know, did Rakestraw visit the Lions? I have no idea. I didn't keep up with it last year either. It was like the first year I'm not even looking at the visit stuff. I don't even care. I think it was Rakestraw. Rakestraw was the guy who was very confident. Like, this guy fits the Lions, and that's why I put him in the BR mock. So I took him live when things were kind of all shaking. I was like, I think I like this guy. I think he fits the Lions. So that one ended up working. I don't even know if he visited the Lions. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't know. But ultimately, we drafted him, and I think it's kind of something I also want to see. Like, do I know what the Lions like? Right? I think we have a good sense. I think it's crazy how long GM Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have been here. Like, I feel like I have a good sense of what they're looking for, and you'll see in the next time we do this list when I go to interior defense lineman, I'll have more of those guys on here. Like, the styles, they'll all kind of be similar. I think I have a sense of what style they're looking for. But I also don't think it guarantees anything. Like, I think, for example, I was thinking about this last night. Remember when Josh Paschal was drafted and how big of a deal it was for everybody? Like, man, he was a 3-time captain, first time ever. Now people are like, yeah, Josh Paschal was a miss. Like, it's crazy. Like, that's what people will look at the recent drafts. Like, I think that was a miss. And it's like, yeah, but he was the 3-time captain. Like, that was the thing. So it's like, I don't want to get too caught up in that because those little things will change my opinion. And I don't want him to change my opinion where it's like, oh, well, did you know this about him? Now I love the guy. Like, if I find that on my own, it's like, all right, now we can roll forward with it. But I don't want that to make me, and I'm not saying I didn't like Josh Paschal. I don't want that to make it be like Josh Paschal's that dude or something like that, whoever it may be, just because they visit with him. Really, they love Josiah Stewart. I could see that. He's the fit. He's the weird one for fit. I actually considered putting him on this list. He's a weird one for fit for me still, but I love it too. Like, I could see it too. The guy is like play style. Like, there's no doubt. There's no doubt, bro. He's awesome. Like, he's a fantastic pass rusher. He plays bigger than his size. He defends the run. He plays with his hair on fire. Yeah, I don't doubt that at all that they like Josiah Stewart. And Stewart was, honestly, I haven't went through a game that I didn't think Josiah Stewart was awesome. And then when I don't even try to watch Josiah Stewart, I still think he's awesome. I was watching Cameron Williams from Texas today, and I'm like, this guy's awesome. like, cause he's still great. And it's Josiah Stewart was fantastic. And honestly, he came out of nowhere for me as just a Michigan fan. So it was fantastic to see it. Yeah. I think Josiah Stewart could definitely be up there as well. May move up for if Brad thinks it's the guy to get. I think I wouldn't be surprised if moved at all. Wouldn't be surprised move back. Wouldn't be surprised move forward. But I would almost think it's more likely that we move than just sit. Something I think is going to happen with them there. Maybe they move out. Someone can get a quarterback. Maybe they move up because their guys there. What do I think of Landon Jackson? I have a full video on Landon Jackson. Definitely should check that out. My full breakdown. It's not Lions related, but it's just my breakdown of the player. I'm lower on Landon Jackson than I think what I've heard most people are, which is interesting because I thought I was pretty high on Landon Jackson. I comped him to Za'Darius Smith. Not saying he's going to be Za'Darius, but stylistically how he won, I thought it was similar to Za'Darius. I could see the Lions liking Landon Jackson, though. Like, I don't doubt that at all. I don't doubt at all that they could like Landon Jackson, how he plays stylistically. The physical measurements are obviously fantastic. Then he gets to some of the GPS things, and I heard this recently. So we know that he ran like super fast. He had like the fastest mile per hour of anybody hit when going through drills, working for Landon Jackson at the combine. Malachi Starks hit top was first in like 5 different drills in GPS times, but his testing scores weren't good. Like they weren't bad, but they weren't like the best, but he ran fast because he played fast. And I think those are interesting. The more little nuggets we can get on things like that are going to be really interesting to kind of look at as we get closer to this. So like for me, I'm trying to not look at those numbers before I watch the player. Like, for example, I saw Maxwell Harrison's numbers before I watched the guy, which is unfortunate. I think I watched like one game and then I saw the numbers and I watched him again. I was like, I don't want this to sway me that he ran a 4.2, whatever, 4.28 or something. But yeah, I think ultimately like Landon Jackson is someone the Lions could definitely like. I don't think he's a round 1 guy, but it's weird. I've heard a lot of people feel pretty comfortable like, oh yeah, he's going to go top 50. And it's like, man, I'm a little surprised by that, to be honest with you. I mean, I get the love for him. And here's the big thing for Landon, though. He was fantastic after the season. Not to say he didn't do good during the season from when I watched. I thought he did. But after the season, he did everything well. Senior Bowl, I remember, I think it was the last day of Senior Bowl, he took off. He took over. I think it was like day 3, like last few reps took over. He was effective, though, at the Senior Bowl. Obviously, you got to see his presence. Like, this guy's massive. And then, obviously, the Combine came around, did well there. Like, he did really well on the way out, like on the way to the draft. Everything after the draft, everything after the season, he's felt like he's done really well. So I think that's going to help him. I think the Lions either double up at edge or we both draft the receiver in the first or second. I thought about the receiver one a little bit. I think the more I think about it, the less likely I think it is. And I've gotten to that because I can't remember why I even got there, to be honest. Just the more I thought about it, I'm like, I don't think they're going to go receiver, even though I could see that too, especially if these receivers fall, because I think there could be like one that fall. Like McMillan could fall. There's no doubt McMillan could fall if he's sitting there. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. The Lions should consider taking him. I definitely would. But the more I think about it, I don't think they're going to go round 1. I could see it in round 2, right, because of where they're picking in round 2. I could see that being on the table. But the more I think, I don't think in round 1 they do it. I don't know that they feel like the value's there. I think that's the big thing. It's not that there is not a path where like, hey, this guy fell to you because people were worried about the receivers or because defensive line was so high. But I don't know that they'll feel like the value actually lines up with the first round pick. And like Jaden Higgins is a guy that I was, it's funny. This was like a couple weeks ago watching Jaden Higgins, and I was like, is this guy a first round pick? Like it was like I'm like, could he be a first round pick? And I think what kept me away from it was top of the route. I thought that he just struggled to separate consistently there. The way that he would drop his weight, he was really relying on kind of just boxing guys out, utilizing his size. And I don't remember exactly my notes, but I don't think he was awesome after the catch either. But I did think about that a little bit. I'm like, with how weird it is for a receiver, could he be considered like a back end first round? I came in with that mindset, and then I still didn't get there with him. So I personally don't think he's going to be a first round guy. Like, I don't think he has that. Because I was trying to think like who could be a receiver that we're not thinking about that could jump in there. Maybe that is Trey Harris. I think Charles that you were talking about, maybe that's the guy. Because I did come in with that same mindset. Like he could go higher maybe than some expect because it only takes one. But like I think of Jalen Polk coming out last year, and I guess you could say that Jaden Higgins could have been more dominant than Jalen Polk was. But I think I like Jalen Polk better than what I've seen from Jaden Higgins so far this year. Now, what Jaden Higgins does have going for him, though, which I think immediately got me into that thought process, was the way that he gets off the ball. Like he moves really well. He's agile. He gets off the ball. Well, he wins off the press. He wins with footwork, and he wins early because of that. And I think that obviously opens up route tree, but it also was shown off at the Senior Bowl. Like he was winning at the Senior Bowl. So when they put him on the line, they put him one-on-one with the corner. It's like this guy is kind of cooking dudes, off the line with his press release. And you're like, this doesn't, and it wasn't the way that you would think. It wasn't like he was boxing dudes out. He was just shaking them at the lines with his footwork. That's the kind of thing that I think does make him unique. I think that's immediately what got me to the thought process of could he be round one? Maybe. Like that would be the thing that would separate him because it is unique for his size. I just didn't get there with him, but I've considered it, and maybe I will get there. I don't know. Maybe there's a path where eventually I think that he's a round one pick. I just haven't got that. I just don't love the receivers this year. It's not like they're all terrible. I just don't know that I feel really strong about any of these guys being first picks. Like even Emeka Egbuka, I think he has pressing to. He's one of the only guys I have with a grade so far that is tapping closer to elite as a pass catcher. Like I think his hands are phenomenal. Like I think he's got that ability. My problem is his route running. And it's not that he's a bad route runner. He can beat up zone coverage. He steps in front of linebackers. He does that kind of thing. It's the problem of, for me, he doesn't change pace in his routes. It feels like he's kind of running the same speed all the time. I think that hurts him. I think it limits the separation. He gets to the top of routes consistently. I don't think his route strength is what people make it out to be at times. He gets bumped off of routes a little bit too early. He is better after the catch than I anticipated. He can actually do some work after the catch. They got him on some screens, things like that. But even he, like, could he go round one? I think right now I'd bet on him going round one just because he has such a strong floor. But ultimately, like I could see a team like teams letting him slip because they're like, I don't know if he's dynamic enough. Like I could see teams like, yeah, he's not, and that's not meaning it's smart because I think Emeka Egbuka is going to be incredibly reliable. He's just not number one, but you bring him in, he's going to be good. Like he could be 1,000-yard receiver year one. I think there's a path for that if he gets with the right team, and he could be very consistently that good. So it's not like the value wouldn't be there. I just think based on where he could be picked, I think he could slide. A player like that definitely could slide because people may not fall in love with the athleticism. Meanwhile, a guy like Matthew Golden could definitely go top 15. Wouldn't surprise me at all if he went top 15 this year. I just think that, again, you get back to the critical factors, which is always what we would have to weight heavily. If I'm looking at Egbuka, the thing that separates him there is his hands. But I could see where teams, like even with that being a critical factor, just it doesn't, like Quentin Johnston went round one. It's like this guy doesn't have hands at all. Like, I think he's got good separation and he's slightly above average after the catch. That was the problem. I didn't think he was super savvy as a route runner, but he played very fast. Like, I think he's going to, I think Egbuka is going to be really good. But I could see him slipping. Keandre Lambert. I heard that name again today, right? Was it Auburn? Is someone who could be a steal, is speed and route running ability personally. I'm with that, man. Like, I heard something interesting today on the way home. I heard like a snippet. I was driving and someone was like, who was it? It was one of those drafts. Oh, it was Mel Kiper. He said that he felt that there could be guys on day 3 or something that are more productive. And he's going to be very comfortable. There's going to be multiple day 3 guys better that come out of this draft than day 2 guys or like day 1 guys, something like that. Like there's going to be a couple more productive. Something like he said, like something that didn't make any sense, but he said it something like that. And, thinking about that, I'm like, actually, that does make some sense. Like that does make some sense. I could see that thought process because especially once you start taking swings on guys that are like, man, they're really good athletes that just don't check the other boxes or they're average on the other things. That's where you can fall into trouble where you get guys that are just, because we know like second round is just full of misses every year, full of them. I mean, it just miss after miss after miss in the second round for receivers. There's hits, but there's a ton of misses. So it's not even just a this year's thing. This always happens, right? It always happens for day 3 dudes will outproduce a day 2 guy, but I could see like why you'd bet on that happening for sure this year. A couple of those dudes, just because of how weird it is with kind of that second group of receivers, like Jalen Noel going round 2. I could see that not connecting. Versus you get to day 3, and maybe a guy like your guy Lambert Smith actually does connect, like something like that. He's like Rashee Rice or Darnell Mooney. Man, those dudes are dogs. Shout out to Darnell Mooney though. Darnell Mooney's tough, bro. Shout out to fantasy Darnell Mooney. He was a sneaky pickup this last year, bro. Darnell Mooney's tough. I rock with Darnell Mooney. He'd be a guy if Lions wanted to go make a move for Darnell Mooney. I'm on board, man. I'm definitely on board with that. So I don't know exactly what the plan is for next video. I was going to do a breakdown either on Jacob Parish, Jordan Phillips out of Maryland. Let's see what my other one was. Or I don't remember what the other one was. I think I was going to go on Jacob Parish, but I definitely want to do another mock soon because they're just fun. But I definitely want to do a ranking. I told you all I was going to do a ranking. I think Wednesday, I may aim for it. Maybe sometimes this week we're going to have a ranking. Rank Josiah Stewart, Jack Sawyer, and JT. I have Jack Sawyer as 1. I don't know what my final grade was on Josiah Stewart. I don't know if I put a final grade yet, to be honest with you. Probably right now I'd put Jack Sawyer 1, Josiah Stewart 2, JT 2, Imolo 3. For the Lions, though, I can see that being completely opposite. JT at 1, Josiah 2, Sawyer at 3. I still like Sawyer a lot. Like, and Sawyer pops, even watching for JT. Oh, snap. Am I good? Let me make sure we're good here. Okay, we're good. Yeah, for me, Jack Sawyer still pops when I watch JT. I'm like, oh man, JT's. I mean, Jack Sawyer's a dog. Like, I don't know why people are so low on him. Like, I get that he's not great in every category. There's some categories I think he's below average, but he's really good at what he's good at. I understand the length thing and all that. Dude can play. Dude can work. Like he just works all the time. So I'm still pretty high on Jack Sawyer. But yeah, I'd probably put Josiah Stewart number 2. Like he wouldn't be far. They're different styles for sure. Very different styles. If you told me it's like as a pass rusher, I could see Josiah Stewart being the best pass rusher. I don't want to say like Josh Uche because I think he plays the run better than that, but like in the sense of like dude's gonna get after the quarterback day one. Like I don't doubt that. Kobe Bryant or Parish. We do need to do Kobe Bryant. Maybe I'll do Kobe Bryant because I've already watched so much Jacob Parish, or I'll just do Kobe Bryant just to give me someone new. Maybe I'll do 2 and 1. Maybe that's the new thing. I'll put 2 guys in the same video. I don't want to like put them against each other because they're probably different styles, but maybe I can like do some kind of like mashup where it's like Bam versus this guy. And then I'll just have the final grades. We'll see who grades out higher. Make it like a 15 minute video, put 2 guys beside each other. That way I don't need as many clips. That's a problem. Grabbing all the clips is a problem, but I could do that. Ty Robinson in the 3rd or 4th. I wouldn't take him in. I wouldn't take him in the 3rd. I don't know if I'd even take him in the 4th, to be honest with you. Ty Robinson to me is stiff. He's stiff. I don't know that his build is going to, be great at the NFL either. I think he's such an upfield player where I struggle a little bit with him, like dropping his weight, holding his ground as an anchor. But man, he's a dog. I think he's a day 3 player. Now I could change, I guess, if I continue to watch more. I think he's pretty cemented to me as a day 3 player. Special teams value could be there. It's just a little bit different with D-line players. I think it's a little bit more difficult to find special teams value. But I would be absolutely shocked if he went round 3. I'd be shocked. Even round 4, I'd probably be pretty darn surprised. I think he's a day 3 player, but that doesn't mean he can't stick on a roster. He's the kind of guy I'd bet on sticking on a roster. I could bet on him making the bottom of 53. I would be surprised if we went round 4, though, to be honest. But that could change, though. I do like Ty Robinson. It's not that I've mocked him one time. I mocked Ty Robinson. I think he's probably going to go higher than what I said, what we had him in, because I think the mock got him like 7th round. I think that's kind of crazy because he's just too talented for that. There's too many guys that literally don't have anything like build-wise, or they do have the build and they have no production for him to go round 7. Like that's crazy. I don't think that's going to happen because he does have a little bit of both. Like he's got some size, he's got some length, and he can get after it. Like he does have production that ties those 2 things together a little bit. I'm just a little bit unsure about his fit at the next level. Right, let's try to figure out like where this is actually going to work. But I think he'll probably go before like 7, maybe 5, maybe like round 5, something like that. Probably where I'm at right now, but that could change. We do need a video on Ty Robinson because I feel like he's gaining steam. And also Husky Dad. You're a Nebraska fan, I assume. That's why you came in with Ty Robinson. I assume you're a Nebraska fan. That's interesting. Okay, I like that. We need a little bit of that. All right, we need there's some Nebraska dudes this year. A lot of day 3 guys. They're going to be coming out this year. So that's good. We need that. We need a little bit of that. I had to pop in. Hey, my man Elmo, I appreciate you popping in. You think it's crazy to draft Chris Paul at 102? No, to make it? No, I don't think that's crazy. I don't think that's crazy. Because right now, I think if you ranked him, he'd be close to 100 for me. He'd be around that range. So I don't think that's crazy. Yeah, I don't think that's crazy at all, to be honest with you. The problem is how many guys behind him could surprise, right? How many guys behind him could jump him in the draft? That's the problem. I don't know about the depth of linebacker, which to me makes it difficult for guys to jump him. But I also think that as a player alone, there's a lot of players. So if someone like really needs a linebacker, they may jump on it because, earlier than what I would have him probably just in general. Because he's unique in that sense. Like there's a lot of these dudes that I don't think could jump him. Like I'm just looking at the list right now. Like a lot of them I don't think could jump him. So he may get pushed up just because his position uniqueness, where I think once you get once Demetrius Knight goes, like I think there's a little bit of a gap and that could just press him higher. I just think that's more position than what it would be just as an overall grade from what I've watched so far. Right. So thoughts may change on that. But he's going to be a linebacker that's probably going to have a little bit of a gap between him and the next guy, I would assume, as a true off-ball backer, which could lead to him going, to your point, maybe before 102, right? So maybe it pressures a guy like that up because someone just needs a linebacker. Now, we also saw because linebackers pretty light in depth, teams jumped on linebackers in free agency. A lot of teams jumped on linebackers. I don't know how many teams actually really need a linebacker. Like the Rams could use it. Could they take it? Maybe. But a lot of teams jumped on off-ball linebackers, and there's still a couple available, I think, because of that reason. Like the depth the depth dwindles pretty fast. So naturally, those guys could get pushed up. How long till the stream ends? Need to know whether I got enough. Probably very soon. Within the next couple minutes, I'm going to end this thing. I got to dip out here. But if you're just joining Elmo, you already know what time it is. Run it back to the beginning, man, because this was like a video. This is a good one. What if Malachi Starks went? Flip script? No, I don't think that's even flipping the script. I think if Malachi Starks didn't at 28, they would take him. Right? Like if I don't care who else is on the board. If Malachi Starks there at 28, I think they draft him. It's just I don't think he's going to be there at 28. I think you'd have to trade up for him, and the value of trading up may keep them away from it. But I think if he was sitting there, they would draft him. I think based on who's probably else is there, they'd be their draft pick. So, yeah, I don't even think that's shaking it up. I don't even think that's shaking up, to be honest. I think they would just take him. Lions are high on Oladejo. He has off-the-charts leadership skills. I like Oladejo, not as much as at least before all the buzz came around. Like now people are buzzing him like crazy. Oh, he's round 2. I was never that high on Oladejo. I get he went from off ball to on ball. I didn't think he was even that. I didn't think he was that dominant though, to be honest with you. So Oladejo, like to me, I had him in one of our mock drafts as well. I took him probably about a month ago. Maybe he was a day 3 pick, somewhere in that range. I ended up drafting him. I think that's a fair range for him. I don't think he's like a round 1 guy. Like I think that'd be insane. But never count it out. Like the Lions have done things where if you told me at 28 they stood and took Oladejo because they're like he's gonna go, I just didn't see it. I didn't see it I didn't think he was like a dominant run defender or like this elite pass rusher where it's like, yeah, it's a round. Like I never got there with him. So I could see them liking him though. I could definitely see it. You put him behind a guy like Derek Barnes, like that's a lot of fun. You put him behind a guy like Derek Barnes, now you got something. I don't know. Though. I definitely need to watch more. I gotta stamp a final grade on Oladejo because that'll be a video we have to do is Oladejo because he's so all over the place for people. That'll be one I have to stamp the final grade on to figure out where I'm at. I just know I was not that high on him as others, but I also felt that he was worth drafting. I just didn't feel him as a round 1 or 2 player. Oladejo did dominate the Senior Bowl. He was awesome at the Senior Bowl. I remember we were sitting in the stands and who was behind me? It was Broshmo. Broshmo was behind me. And I'm like, we're just talking about guys. And I'm like, what do you know about this guy? And it was Oladejo. We're sitting over there watching 101. You're trying to watch both. I'm like, what do you know about this guy? Honestly, I don't remember what he said to me, but he took off. And I think by the time we got to like the 3rd day of just those 1-on-1s, that dude was just cooking everybody. So, I mean, I get it, man. Like, again, those guys that have those strong finishes, bro, they're fast risers. So maybe if it's like, yeah, people are like, yo, he's a leader or he's great in maybe not even just leader. Maybe it's just like that probably gets leaked because they would know that already. But like anything, just meeting with these guys, how does it come off? Like that kind of thing, like his football intelligence, like, yo, he's another one of those dudes that, yeah, I think would fall into that category pretty well of like the after process of the season is doing him really well, which is making him a riser in our eyes, maybe less in their eyes, but in our eyes. So I don't know. Maybe he is a day 2. I can see him being a day 2 guy. Who are the guys that are already in the NFL that we would trade for? Trayvon, Ojabo or Pay? I don't think they would trade for Pay. I've looked at that more. I don't think they would do that. The list that I had recently was honestly, I don't know how many of these even make sense anymore. I had, some of these don't make sense because the moves that we made. I had Tyrann Mathieu. I still think that would be fun. Tyrann Mathieu as a backup safety. I had Ojabo on that list as a day 3 pick swap, even though he hasn't done much. He looked okay last year. He really hasn't done much, though. I had Malcolm Roach, which I don't think is a need anymore. Those are the 2 that those are the only 2 left I think even make sense. I had Tariq Woolen. I thought that'd be fun, but I don't think they're going to do it. So, yeah, I think those 2. I don't think they'll trade for Kwity Paye. I don't think they would do that. I can't remember what the reason was, but I remember looking at it again. I was like, I don't think this is going to go down. If you check out David Walker, only a very little bit. I have like a small portion of notes on David Walker. He's one of the next ones I have to get into fully. I've watched a little bit. I know he's like a little bit undersized, but he was dominant the first game I watched of him. I know that he's going to come in and just maybe be more of a. If I remember, I think he was going to be more of like a pure DPR. I think. Yeah, I think that's where I had him as, but like, yeah, dude, that guy was going crazy. It was just one game. It was a small school, so I don't I don't remember like how that matches up with anything. I don't remember him being like crazy explosive though, but maybe I'm just remembering wrong. Maybe he was. What are we thinking about that dude out of Florida? DT's like 464 pounds. Is that Cameron Jackson or is it someone else? Could be someone else that you're talking about. I don't know, dude. That's 464 pounds. So there's a real shot I'm thinking about. Is it? Yeah, it's Cameron Jackson, right? Or wait, is it not? That's who I got to assume we talk about. Would you take Nick Gordon at 60? Yes, I would draft Nick Gordon at 60. If he's sitting at 60, I would take him. Now, is he the perfect Lions fit? I think that's questionable. I think that's very questionable. But would his value be worth it? For me, yes. There's a very good chance that he'd be worth the pick at 60. Lions could have some issues schematically, but I think that he'd be worth the pick. Yeah, I think if you got him at 60, for most, they'd be like, yeah, this is a steal. Dude's 21 years old. He's productive all 3 years. This dude is productive at Purdue. Goes to, A&M productive. It's like, yeah, that's a good pick. Love Jay Higgins out of Iowa and Cody Simon. Thoughts? I like Cody Simon, I think, more. I think he's gonna have a higher floor. If I remember right, I think he's gonna have a higher floor. Wasn't as high on Jay Higgins. I struggle a little bit with him as a mover, just to be honest with you. Yeah, I struggle with him as a mover. He's also an older prospect, but those Iowa linebackers, you never can go wrong there. Jay Higgins isn't a guy I've done a full thing on. I've done a little bit more on Cody Simon. I think Cody Simon has a high floor. I don't know if he could ever become a starter. I think he was a higher floor backup. Same thing with Higgins probably as well. Both those guys probably be backups. Search up Desmond Watson. Okay, this sounds like something that might get me in trouble. I'm gonna be honest with you. All right, we'll look it up, but I'm not showing it on the screen. All right, here we go. Oh, okay. No, we're good. We're good. Holy, I don't know who this guy is. Can 464-pound lineman play in the NFL? What? Yo, this is a real person? Oh my gosh. Wait, is he could be the largest draft pick in history? Wait a minute. Wait, I've never heard of this guy. Wait a minute. No shot, dude. I feel like I remember. Nah, bro, this is crazy. Hold up. 464 pounds. Yo, he had to just be packing on weight for the draft, bro. Or not the draft, for his pro day. He's like, yo, let me just bulk up, bro. If we're going to be massive, we might as well go over the top with it. No, that's crazy. What? Was he like cooking, though? I know someone put a highlight tape on him out. I know somebody dropped a highlight tape. Oh, my gosh. Yo, that's crazy. I want to watch him. I'm like, can he move at all? Oh, yeah. No, y'all need to stop. Scariest D lineman in college football, bro. Oh, this was a year ago. Someone made this a year. Someone was ahead of schedule. Oh, my gosh. Hold up. Let me check some of this out. Lineman. Did he run a 40? That's what I was trying. I don't think he did. There's no way he ran a 40. Yo, but he don't look that. He kind of do look that big. Never mind. I mean, a lot of it's in the lower body, though. You know what I mean? He's just like, that dude is built. Oh my gosh. Yo, that dude's a truck, dude. He ran a 5.7. Oh no, 5.93. That's insane, bro. No, I hope we draft this dude. I didn't even know this was a. No, this is crazy. This video is insane. Oh my god, he looks like a. How tall is this guy? How tall is he? 6'6". Bro, he looks like massive compared to everybody. I mean, dude, look at this. He looks like he's playing with like little kids. Hold on, let me show a. Oh yeah, he's definitely a nose guard. Nose that he's definitely that. This is insane. Look at this dude. This dude doesn't even. Nah, bro. These dudes look tiny. All right. Nah, that might be the next video. I asked y'all who. We may have found it. Big 21. Let the Michigan Panthers try him out first. Hey, that's real. Dude, that's insane, though. Like, he's handling business. I mean, he's at Florida. Like, good for him, man. That dude's made it work for sure. Because I know I've seen a 21 on the field. I feel like he's played a lot of snaps. I just didn't know he was that big. I don't know what you do with that, to be honest with you. You could just stand there and it's like, what do I do? It's your DJ replacement, bro. Yo, he's like 1.5 times as big as DJ Reader. Yo, he's like, take DJ Reader. Half a DJ Reader on top of DJ Reader is him. That's insane. He's like half a foot taller, 150 pounds more. Thoughts on Shamar Stewart? I think he might be a hidden gem. I got a video on Shamar Stewart. You should check it out. Got my thoughts in there. I definitely don't think he's a hidden gem. From this sense, this guy's going first round. I know there's people that think he's going all over the place. I think he's going first round. I think he's going top 20. I would understand why he fell, though. I would understand why he would fall beyond that. But I think he's going top 20. I definitely don't think he's like going to be forgotten about. But we do have a full video. Definitely go check that out. I'll give my full thoughts there. You think Jared Wilson is crazy at 60? Yes, I would not take Jared Wilson at 60. Early notes on him were not that high returns. The interior offensive line I thought was kind of messy. I like Tate Ratledge a little bit, not as a second round guy, but I liked him a little bit. What did I have Wilson at? But no, definitely didn't have. I wouldn't take him at 60. That's what I went through so far. I think you got to go with one of these tackles. If you're going to go that high, you got to go with one of these tackles that can bounce around. I think that's the only way you go. I feel like if you're trying to jump on a need here, like let's get a guard / center, you're probably going to get yourself into trouble taking one that high. That'd be like a. It feels like that would be like a. That'd be like a what's it called? Cole Strange pick. Like you definitely don't want to do that. You like Ratledge? I take Ratledge like day 3, man. Maybe 102 because it's like where we're at. Like I could see him in play there. I wouldn't honestly. I probably wouldn't take him any higher than that. Not through what I've went through. I thought he was more average in kind of a lot of things. He's not a bad athlete. Like the guy can move a little bit. Yeah. I have him below average in terms of control, which is a problem. Average hand usage, which isn't great. He's also tall as heck, 6'6". He's got some length though. Got pretty big hands. But yeah, he was a plus athlete, and he also had some power to his game. Like he does those things pretty well. So yeah, like I could see him back into round 3. I could see him back into round 3 kind of pick, maybe upside. Like he'd go round 3. Tate Ratledge though is the guy that I think is higher than Jared Wilson though. Like from what I went, now I need to watch Jared Wilson. I watched a lot more Ratledge, but like I would definitely take Ratledge first. Take Miles Frazier later. Yeah, Miles Frazier I think is ranked completely incorrectly on PFF. I think we're gonna find that out. But Miles Frazier also might be more of a gap guy, which could also be the reason. Not the reason for him to be that low, but he could be lower because he could be more of a gap scheme fit. I'm planting my flag that Kobe Bryant is going to be a Lion. You know what? We got to do a video on him because I just did Parish. You're telling me that you've been on that. So yeah, Kobe, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try to do a Kobe Bryant and Jacob Parish video. I'm going to put them in the same video. That's your Broderick Martin pick. Goodness. I'm fired up about this dude. This guy. Holy man. But yeah, I think PFF's off. Miles Frazier's a good player. I think he's a very solid player. He's just a little bit limited schematically. But he's solid as heck. I don't think he'll go. I don't know if he can go day 2. Maybe. But he kind of reminds me of a dude that came went to New England recently. Who was that? Maybe a little bit of Wallace. Kind of see those vibes. Donovan Jackson or Tyler Booker. Can't go wrong either. I would take for the Lions Donovan Jackson. I think Tyler Booker could be better as a pass protector year 1. Tyler Booker might have a little bit more limitations as a mover, but Tyler Booker's pass pro is nasty. That dude just stays square with everybody in front of him. He moves well. He's fluid as heck. He's sound passing off stunts. Like he is one of the better, I think, interior pass. He might be the best interior pass protector year 1 out of anybody drafted. He might be. I think Donovan Jackson, though, from a well-roundedness, from a fieriness after the play, even though Tyler Booker brings that too, schematic versatility, position versatility would probably be the Lions pick. What player would you trade up for? I trade up for a lot of guys. I guess it depends on how much. But like right now, I'd trade up for Starks a couple picks if I had to. I would honestly be on board if it didn't cost a lot to go for Barron. Because I think those two are both realistic if they fell. I would trade up for Mikel Williams. I definitely would. I think that'd be the most aggressive we'd get. I would personally trade a ton to go get Jalen Walker. Like I would literally give up an insane amount for Jalen Walker. Yeah, dude, I'd make like a, I don't know, like a Raiders players. Something like the Raiders would. I don't know why the Raiders might do something like this. Like I would make it a trade where people are like, yeah, I don't know about that one. Let that dude get out. Let him get outside of 10. And I'm blowing up everybody's phone. Y'all know how we do the mock drafts where I literally try to request trades with every team. I'm like, let's just see if we would make a deal. Like I'm throwing trade offers at every single team, and they're all declining because they're all trash offers. I'm doing that from jump. From as soon as it starts, I'm just throwing trash offers at teams. But I'm like constantly sending offers and just hoping like someone on accident's like, all right, whatever, dude. Stop bothering me. We'll accept the trade. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. You like Mikel better than Walker? I could see that, especially for the Lions. I could get that. I just think Jaylen's going to be special. But I think Mikel could be special. Giving up his first point. Like, bro, I'm taking a swing on that man. You know what I mean? Like, we're taking a swing. That dude's going to be special, I think. There's one guy I think is going to be special. It's going to be him. That being said, though, should be a top 10 pick. Hope not, though. Just don't go to Green Bay. Don't go to Chicago. Don't go to Green. Don't let this do not let this guy go to Chicago. Do not let that happen. Anyway, I'm going to leave that here. I appreciate y'all joining. If you're just joining, go back to the beginning. First 30 minutes, we do the episode of the title. Feel free to join me on Bleacher Report Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. It's the same exact show over there. But the difference is if you comment during that time while I'm live, I will read your comments. I can't do it as much over here, but I will over there. Stay tuned for another breakdown video coming soon, and also some rankings list, maybe a mock draft we get thrown in there. If you guys have anything, suggestions, hit me up on X at 0dosofdion, and we'll figure something out. Abdul Carter's gonna be a dog. I wasn't going to like the very top, but yeah, he's gonna be good. He's gonna be good. I could see Jaylen Walker being better though. I could guarantee that the Eagles draft someone we hate that they do. Oh my gosh, dude, they definitely will. I gave McBuka my last one. It's like, it's gonna be an awesome fit. You know what I mean? Freaking Eagles, man. All right, we're out of here, man. I appreciate y'all joining. I'll see y'all soon. We out.